Right, so first question of the night. Will Salah be in the squad for Saturday? So do let me know what you think. And look, I think we're all guessing at this point. I certainly don't know what's going on there. I wish I did, but I don't. My gut instinct would probably say no. But then at what point does it become possible? You know, if he doesn't come into the matchday squad on Saturday, I think it's just going to lead to more eyes on the situation. And it's probably going to feed into more of the rumours about him leaving. But then again, like I've said, we don't really know as fans, do we? We're just reading what we're reading and trying to figure it all out. Peter said he's made his bed, but I hope they can sort something out. Look, I can't argue with that, mate. You know, he put the comments out there. He did it intentionally. But again, like I said, there's no win-win for anybody here. I'd just like to think that common sense could prevail and egos could be pushed to the side because an apology is needed. You know, whatever side of this debate you're on, you know, if you speak like that about the club, the team, the manager, you've got to put your hand up and say, look, I maybe stepped over the line a little bit, even if there are some points to what he's had to say. But it's just draining, isn't it? Like, it's draining for everybody at this point. Bricktop said 0 chance. They won't be giving him the opportunity to start waving goodbye to the cop. Look, I would hate Peter, or excuse me, not Peter, my apologies. I would hate, who was I talking to? Bricktop. That I would hate that if he goes under a cloud, if he goes. You know, even if they kind of just sail through Saturday and then he goes off to the AFCON, you and I and everybody else knows it's not going to be the end of it. It's just going to drag on and on and on. So I would like to know what type of resolution we're looking at before he heads off to the AFCON, rather than having to go through the next 4 or 5 weeks or whatever it might be with us, you know, seeing headline after headline, which is just going to put more negative spin on the club. El Stew said, I think a mistake a lot of us made, me included, was I saw this Slot versus Salah. He's human, but timing was awful. Hope he gets a few minutes to say goodbye. He deserves it. I mean, I can't argue with you on that one, mate. Stu, I can't. It's the best interest of the football club should be where all of our heads are at. But in these situations, Stu, like you've said, it does kind of tend to pit one side against another. And even fans that are in the middle, I've seen debating and arguing back and forth with each other. But what it does do is take away from the focus of what's on the pitch. And what's on the pitch should be where our focus is as fans, because hard to know if we've started to turn the corner or if the results of recently will continue. And we'll get some answers on Saturday because, you know, if we beat Brighton, then certainly the narrative will be unbeaten in 5, 3 wins, 2 draws. And that's probably the right way to look at it. But it would also make the case harder for Salah to justify that he still has a huge presence in this squad. That's why I said I'm so confused as to what happens on Saturday. I mean, I don't even know what I would like to see happen, if the truth be told. I think I just don't want bitterness. You know, it's terrible if a club legend leaves the club in, you know, a negative way. It just doesn't look good on anyone. It just doesn't. Dramil, how are we, sir? Said both are right somehow. Yes, he's been thrown under the bus, but Arna's right not to pick him. We need to be patient. We will come back and Salah will be back too. I hope that's right, Dramil, mate. I hope it is. I'd love a world where, you know, Salah puts his hands up, says an apology, goes off to the AFCON, does whatever he does with Egypt, and comes back and then, you know, wants to knuckle down and force his way back into the squad or the team. That would be the ideal scenario for me as a Liverpool fan. As long as we keep winning games of football, you know, whatever else happens is fine. But, you know, we do need to focus on the getting back to the winning, particularly in the league. This from David Ornstein, by the way, said the general perception is that Mohamed Salah has made his incendiary comments either because he genuinely wants to force a move out of the club or because he wants to put pressure on Slot. Liverpool's stance is that they don't want to sell. Senior club figures have pointed to the fact that Salah's under contract until the summer of 2027, and his recent spell out of the starting lineup was only viewed as a temporary measure. They are bewildered at the speed at which things have unravelled, and there is also a feeling that the ball is in Salah's court and he needs to tell the club what his intentions are. If he wants to leave, he needs to outline how that can happen, and Liverpool can then react. There's also an acknowledgement, however, that if Salah's stance remains hardline and no resolution can be found, then the situation will become untenable. And I have to say, as a fan, I've been baffled at how quickly this situation is all unravelled. And I'm sure I don't speak for myself. You know, I'm sure many people are kind of questioning how we got here. so quickly. It's mental how the club has gone from this really positive place in the summer where we're all buzzing for the new season to, a very hit and miss start to the campaign. And now this Salah stuff just kind of adding fuel to the fire. It is really a head scratcher. How did we get here? It's a fair question. The replicator said, I'm sick of the Salah stuff already. Same, mate. I am mentally wiped. Wiped. I have to force myself to take tomorrow night off streaming because my head is up my arse lately. I'm so torn and numb by all of it. And it's taken away my enjoyment of the actual footy. And I dare say I'm not alone with that. It is draining, you're right. Especially when we've gone from this mad scenario where honestly I felt like I was living in dreamland with the summer we had and the way the window went, obviously Diogo situation apart, but I can't believe we're here. I just can't believe where we are at the minute. I never ever would have thought this was possible. Joey said, hi Craig, need Salah and his dirty fanboys gone. So I'm going to separate the two here for a minute, Joey, because, the Salah situation, okay, fair enough. I can understand if you think it's time for him to go or not. But the fans thing, I'm very different on. Because even in the best of times, they've undermined our club, the Salah fanboys. And they've been nothing short of a disgrace. They've every right to idolise whoever they want. But to dress themselves up as a red and then start making some of the accusations you've all seen thrown around at me, at others, about an underlying reason for any criticism not being based off a performance level. That's been sickening. Honestly, it's been sickening to see. And it's kind of the first time I've ever seen it at Liverpool because he's the first, I guess, modern superstar that we've had at the club. There was some of it with Mane when he was leaving. There was a little bit of Mane's fans kind of something along the lines of like, he wasn't loved enough at Liverpool. Bayern are going to show him the love, blah, blah, blah. And how long did that last? So yeah, I just don't like the Salah fanboys and girls thinking they can shit all over the club when it just doesn't suit their guy. They're not Liverpool fans. So I do hugely differentiate between the players and their fans and club fans. These Player FC folks are so cringe. It's a kind of new and unique thing to me. Not really seen it before, And for me, the way I consume football is I'm a Liverpool fan. So anyone that's at Liverpool, while they're at Liverpool, we get behind them. But yeah, this is just, maybe it's a new phenomenon, I don't know. Sean Harding, how are you, Sean? Said, I feel like this has been blown massively out of proportion by the media. Salah's upset currently, but I believe the situation will resolve itself. Talk of a sale in January is ridiculous. Look, mate, I can tell you categorically that it isn't solely media driven. But Liverpool and Manchester United sell newspapers and get clicks. And this is why Salah should have been a little bit more careful with what he said when he said it. Because this is the type of media reaction that is going to come when somebody of his standing in the game and superstardom is so bluntly critical. For me, I said it at the time, I'll say it again. I just wish he had have clarified the points that he felt he was misled on. Because he just left it very open-ended. And I don't like if you think you've been lied to about something, what is it? What have you been lied to about? Do the thing that really changed my perception somewhat of the Salah situation was all the way back when he had the meeting with the PSG president after we played Bournemouth, when himself and his agent sat down and had lunch with them, and that was leaked out. That wasn't right. It wasn't right. And it has always felt like, and even Jurgen said it, so I don't think I'm speaking out of turn. When Mo's great, everything's calm. And when Mo doesn't get his way, there's a problem at the club. You know, Jurgen said Mo's not that easy to manage, not that hard to manage. But if he's not playing, it's a different story. Or if you take him off, it's a different story. In football, we've seen time and time again that very few teams with individuals win things. It's a team sport and everyone's got to be pulling in the same direction. I don't believe the tripe that's coming out of Build, by the way, which is Saudi deal makers remain keen on Mohammed. No, apologies, that's a different one. Apologies, let me get the right one for you. This one. This comes from Build, and they say Florian Wirtz's status as the future of Liverpool has angered Salah, and it's at the heart of his animosity with the club. That feels bollocks, in all honesty. Like, surely Mohamed Salah would be salivating at the idea of having Florian Wirtz supplying him with assists and chances. I don't believe that for 1 second. I really don't. And I can't believe some of the very anti-Mohamed Salah cheap shots that have been taken. Like, we're fans. We're allowed to have an opinion. Because the best interests of our club are at play. But I do feel like, yes, Salah's been wrong on this, but it feels like anybody who really has been waiting for this is jumping all over it. And like that gentleman said a minute ago, really trying to make sure this doesn't go away.